Interaction with the audience is not just a buzzword, but it is absolutely to involve them and interact with them and make them part of the show is what makes a better show.
Look who we're hanging with!
That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with!
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. Hit subscribe. Come back over and over again. We've got authors, artists, musicians, filmmakers, creative minds of all kinds, and these guys. That's right. We have got Randal Scott. That's right. And we've got Michael Moody. And these guys are comedians and sword fighters known as the Duelists. The Duelist.
We're the coolest.
The coolest duelist.
You come up with that rhyme yourself?
I did.
Really?
Job,
He did. That's right.
Proud of you, buddy.
And they're firing their writer next week because look, they've got Randal doing it now. It's all good. Guys, thanks for coming and hanging out, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we caught your show
Thank you.
about, what, 4 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I ran backstage as quick as I could. Anyway, it's guys telling jokes with swords, and it just, yeah, I was like, wow, you really?
I've never seen sword fighting and jokes before. Right?
I haven't.
You're like,
I
you
really
haven't?
haven't.
Oh,
No.
It shows.
Yeah, it's a lot of improv.
Yeah.
He drinks a lot before the show. That way, he doesn't know what's going to happen next show. That's right. So, guys,
Yes.
Sword fighting and comedy,
Right.
because sword fighting is funny.
For you, yeah. When you're not doing it, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great for me. I was in like the third row.
I'm glad you had fun.
Yes, it was wonderful. You get knocked around a lot.
Me personally, or both of
Yeah.
us? Or, well,
Yeah,
I mean,
well.
he's a lot bigger than me, so yeah,
It's true.
he bullies me constantly.
He's younger, so he's got to do all the tougher stuff.
Oh, okay. So yes,
slap
that
benefit
works
of
out
age.
really well.
Yeah.
That works out-
Yeah.
You all know it's true. So, guys, you're sitting around the house one day and you're thinking, you know what? If I went out on stage and told jokes with swords, then I'd guarantee people would laugh.
Well, what's funny is I'm originally from LA, the West Coast, and started with the Renaissance festivals way out there. And
Okay.
there weren't really any real strong sword fight shows out there. There were always small bits and pieces.
Okay.
And all the real successful shows at the Renaissance Fair, at the Pleasure Fair, were comedy shows. So I was like, hey, comedy, sword fighting, comedy, and started working that together over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And a long time, and we just sort of kept building and building, and then hit
So, like, you were
national.
part of the original Renaissance.
I was involved, not at the inception. That's a little before my time.
in ancient times.
But
dinosaurs roamed
I
the
told
not
jokes.
that old.
That's right.
But the original people who started the entire Renaissance Fair concept, the Pattersons, and I worked with them and under them, and got a lot of experience, a lot of training, and then went national and did shows all over the country
That's
as
fantastic.
we do now. Yeah.
That is awesome, man. And so you walk into the wrong room one day, and
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Randal and I first met, we actually figured this out not too long ago. We first met when I was 16 years old at a sword fighting and martial arts convention of all things. And
As one does when they're 16. What do you do?
Right,
What did you
right.
do at 16?
I was at a sword fighting convention. Yeah, and now I'm doing it professionally. Hey.
I spent last weekend at a Comic-Con.
And then
I don't judge.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And then
I'm 50 years old and I love this shit.
Yeah,
Try making a living doing it.
It's like he knows. How does he know?
we can smell our own.
Yeah, that's right.
It smells
Wow.
like disappointments and
That's right.
regrets.
That's
and
right.
Bitterness and regret.
See, now,
right.
see, imagine that. There you are. You're 16 years old. You're at a sword fighting convention. Okay, so I want to apologize for your junior and senior year. I'm just saying.
It was worse.
So now after that, though, it gets worse because you have to call mom and say, I got a job.
Well, it didn't.
And I'm going to be telling jokes and fighting with a sword.
Well, not quite like that. It was more like, Mom, Dad, I want to be an actor. Okay.
But I'll be armed.
What's your backup plan? Like, well, I have a smaller sword right here. Like,
yeah.
No, my parents were pretty supportive of what I wanted to do. And then after I finished high school, I went to performing arts college, and then I moved out to Chicago to start doing comedy improv. And then about a year and a half after that, I got a call from this guy. And I'm like, hey, I remember you from way back when. And so he started telling me about the concept for the show and things like that. And then we had like 2 or 3, 4 different telephone conversations that lasted a few hours.
Conversation.
Yeah. He's very verbose.
And let me, yeah, that's true. Let me say this though, as much as it's fun and it's comedy, we're also very serious about the work and the stage combat and the comedy and the writing and the pacing and the rhythm and the whole 9 yards.
Well, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean,
Absolutely.
Just the choreography alone.
Not just fun and games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the choreography alone, and then trying to do that and be funny.
Right.
And hit the comedic beats
Right.
and still hit the marks for the stunt show.
It's a
essentially.
tightrope
Right.
walk, yeah.
It really
for sure.
is.
Right. And we work and work and work and practice and rehearse and video, and then watch the video and criticize ourselves and, oh, we need to extend more there, we need to do this, oh, the timing's off. So we really do off stage work it to make sure that it works properly and looks effortless when we do it.
Well done, by
On
the way.
stage.
It does. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
We caught your act beforehand. So I imagine each year you're trying to do a few new things here and there. And
The show always evolves, sure.
Like we talked about before, though, you got hit the comedic beats in
Right.
the right place, hit the choreography in the right place,
Right.
and have all that match up. So what's it like trying to squeeze a new, piece of choreography or something into the show?
Sometimes things just happen based on audience participation, and we end up keeping it or developing it, or we change something in the show to accommodate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a living thing.
Or we don't remember a line and we come up with a new one.
Or I wasn't going to mention it, but yeah.
It's actually really organic how we, as time goes, we're like, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. Let's try this, or let's.
Is this a
evolve
collaborative
this,
effort? Who's the writer?
Totally. I started with the basic structure of the show, and then Michael joined, and then what you see on stage with our personality mix is what it is. And so when we write, we sit down and we back and forth until we both like it. If one of us doesn't like it, then we don't pursue it. But if we both like it, yeah. Or if there's something I've already had and he's like, I don't like that, I want to phrase it this way, knock yourself out.
All right, so what's the coolest gag that came out of just you're on stage and something doesn't go right, does go right? What's the coolest thing that just was born out of that on stage collaboration?
Putting us on the
The
spot
one thing
now.
that comes to my mind is actually it's what happened a
That's
couple
why
of
I
years
get the
ago
extra 50
at Pittsburgh
cents.
during the pre-show. It wasn't even during the show. We were just trying to get an audience. And remember the dude?
Which dude?
The guy who, I don't know, the guy who was the Jesus dude.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
The guy dressed like Jesus.
I remember Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a
him.
red
Jesus is
fair,
my
dude.
friend.
Be
Yeah.
specific.
It was a whole long bit during pre-show.
Okay.
And we just we joke about it, and we involve a lot of political stuff. I mean, I don't want to say, I know he mentioned the Jesus thing. I don't want to say there's any one thing, but there's a lot that we joke about, and we try to kind of mess with each other, and we'll throw things in. There's a lot of things we'll throw in even if nobody else knows what it is. As long as we know what it is, we're happy.
You ever get a really great bit? Because I did see that you guys interact a lot with your audience.
We entice them to interact with us. We ask them to do it.
Absolutely.
It makes it more fun that way.
Interaction with the audience is not just a buzzword, but it is absolutely to involve them and interact with them and make them part of the show is what makes a better show. And we do invite them at the beginning of the show to go ahead and heckle us. We invite that. I mean, I know a lot of acts don't like that, but we do. And we do warn
Yes,
them.
if you're going to heckle an act on stage, pick the ones that are armed.
Right.
See?
Right.
Yeah.
Important safety tip.
That's right. Okay, so you got a lot of costumes, props, the whole 9 yards.
Do we ever?
What do you got? How many swords are there?
I don't know, a million.
A million. You think we could build the
like-
Iron Throne?
2 giant cases worth. We got rapiers, we got swords, we got long swords. We also have maces, flails, whips, halberds.
Now you guys both have a stage background and a comedy background.
Right.
Obviously, from 16 years old, you started going to a sword fighting convention. Okay, we only say that over and over again because
Yeah,
it's
don't
your
let people
truth.
forget that.
I don't want
Yeah.
people to forget that.
Yeah.
And do you have a stage combat background?
Yeah,
or-
well, I started in LA and I was able to work with people who worked in the film industry
Okay.
doing stage combat. and some fencing background, but also once historical swordsmanship, WMA became a big thing about 10 years ago, that really blew the doors wide open. And we involve a lot of, especially in one of our other shows, a lot of historical swordsmanship and historical moves. Our educational show has a lot of historical moves.
Fantastic.
And we teach, outside of stage combat, some historical swordsmanship as well. So we kind of go back to that actual way swords were used and then just modify it for stage combat purposes.
It has to be modified. We want to encourage everybody at home, don't go after your best buddy with a sword. The routines have to be modified to make sure that these guys actually survive their own show.
Yeah,
and
we got 4 shows a day, so we want to be able to do it.
You got to be able to do it like the last show just as well as the first show. It's hard when you're all stitched up.
Or when you're old.
You guys have a preference? Favorite sword? Favorite weapon? What's your preference? What do you like to work with?
I really dig the long sword because I've been studying it more than I have the other weapons right now.
Well, you're also shorter. You need the reach.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
I was hoping one of you would say that. And
Yeah.
I'm glad he got there faster than you did.
I only say that because
it just
I'm the
got
only
aged,
one on
isn't it?
this set shorter than him. So
5'7", man, but on Tinder I'm 6 feet. So
that's right. And he's got a different picture.
yeah, it's cropped in such a way that I look taller.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. So, guys, we got to wrap it up. She's going to flank that card up there at us. So, we've been hanging out with Randal Scott and Michael Moody, the comedians and sword fighters from The Duelist. Where are you guys headed after Brevard?
I'm going back to Chicago, and
I'm heading back to New Orleans. We'll have a couple projects we're working on, and then we end up going to West Virginia for the next festival in a couple of months.
All right, fantastic. We're going to drop links down below for the shows these guys are coming up to and where you can find them online and everything. So check them out, guys. In the meantime, we're going to thank our partners and friends at PoundTheGrape.radio.com, Krypton Radio, Celestial Healings, J. Bauer Art, The Kitchen Killers, Space Coast Comics, Famous Faces and Funny, Some Unique Magazine. I love the fact that that list gets so long.
It's going to get longer every time.
We're
you
glad
do
that
it.
you have to say it and we don't.
That's right. All right, guys. Remember, guys, keep coming back for more. Log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Guys, thank you so much.
Cool.
Thanks, Gary.
Awesome job,
Absolutely.
guys.